Hello and welcome to today's episode of Christian Walk Podcast. In today's episode, I'm going to read the book of Leviticus chapter 13, and it says, "And the Lord spoke unto Moses and Aaron, saying, When a man shall have in the skin of his flesh a rising or a scab, a bright spot, and it be in the skin of his flesh like the plague of leprosy, then he shall be brought unto Aaron the priest, or unto one of his sons the priest, and the priest shall look on the plague in the skin of the flesh. And when the hair in the plague is turned white, and the plague in sight be deeper than the skin of his flesh, it is a plague of leprosy. And the priest shall look on him and pronounce him unclean. If the bright spot be white in the skin of his flesh, and in sight be not deeper than the skin, and the hair thereof be not turned white, then the priest shall shut up him that has the plague 7 days. And the priest shall look on him the 7th day, and behold, if the plague in his sight be at his stay, and the plague spread not in the skin, then the priest shall shut him up 7 days more. And the priest shall look on him again the 7th day, and behold, if the plague be somewhat dark, and the plague spread not in the skin, the priest shall pronounce him clean. It is but a scab, and he shall wash his clothes and be clean. But if the scab spread much abroad in the skin, after that he had been seen of the priest for his cleansing, he shall be seen of the priest again. And if the priest see that, behold, the scab spreadeth in the skin, then the priest shall pronounce him unclean. It is a leprosy. When the plague of leprosy is in a man, then he shall be brought unto the priest, and the priest shall see him. And behold, if the rising be white in the skin, and it have turned the hair white, and there be quick raw flesh in the rising, it is an old leprosy in the skin of his flesh. And the priest shall pronounce him unclean, and he shall not shut him up, for he is unclean. And if a leprosy break out abroad in the skin, and the leprosy cover all the flesh of him that has the plague, from his head even to his foot, whereso the priest looketh, then the priest shall consider, and behold, if the leprosy have covered all his flesh, he shall pronounce him clean that has the plague. It is all turned white, he is clean. But when raw flesh appeareth in him, he shall be unclean. And the priest shall see the raw flesh, and pronounce him to be unclean, for the raw flesh is unclean. It is a leprosy. Or if the raw flesh turn again, and be changed unto white, he shall come unto the priest, and the priest shall see him, and behold, if the plague be turned into white, then the priest shall pronounce him clean that has the plague is clean. The flesh also, in which even in the skin thereof was a boil, and is healed, and in the place of the boil there be a white rising or a bright spot, white and somewhat reddish, it be shown to the priest. And if when the priest seeth it, behold, it be in sight lower than the skin, and the hair thereof turneth white, the priest shall pronounce him unclean. It is a plague of leprosy broken out of the boil. And if the priest look on it, and behold, there be no white hair therein, and if it be not lower than the skin, but be somewhat dark, then the priest shall shut him up 7 days. And if he spread much abroad in the skin, then the priest shall pronounce him unclean. It is a plague. But if the bright spot stay in his place and spread not, it is a burning boil, and the priest shall pronounce him clean. Or if there be any flesh in the skin whereof there is hot burning, and a quick flesh that burneth have a bright spot, somewhat reddish or white, then the priest shall look upon it, and behold, if the skin in the bright spot be turned white, and it be in slight deeper than the skin, it is leprosy broken out of the burning, wherefore the priest shall pronounce him unclean. It is the plague of leprosy. But if the priest look on it, and behold, there be white hair in a bright spot, and it be no lower than the other skin, but be somewhat dark, then the priest shall shut him up 7 days, and the priest shall look upon him the 7th day, and it be spread much abroad in the skin. Then the priest shall pronounce him unclean. It is a plague of leprosy. And if the bright spot stay in his place and spread not in the skin, but it be somewhat dark, it is a rising of the burning. And the priest shall pronounce him clean, for it is an inflammation of the burning. If a man or woman have a plague upon the head or the beard, then the priest shall take the plague, and behold, if it be in slight deeper than the skin, and there be in it a yellow thin hair, then the priest shall pronounce him unclean. It is a dry scale, even a leprosy upon the head or beard. And if the priest look on the plague of the skull, and behold, it be not in sight deeper than the skin, and that there is no dark hair in it, then the priest shall shut him up that has the plague of the skull 7 days. And in the 7th day, the priest shall look on the plague, and behold, if the skull spread not, and there be in it no yellow hair, then the skull be not in sight deeper than the skin. It shall be shaven and up, but the skull shall he not shave. The priest shall shut him up that has the skull 7 days more. And in the 7th day, the priest shall look on the skull, and behold, if the skull be not spread in the skin, nor be in sight deeper than the skin, then the priest shall pronounce him clean, and he shall wash his clothes and be clean. But if the skull spread much in the skin after his cleansing, then the priest shall look on him, and behold, if the skull be spread in the skin, and the priest shall not seek for yellow hair, he is unclean. But if the skull be in his sight at his day, that there is dark black hair grown up therein, the skull is healed, he is clean, and the priest shall pronounce him clean. If a man also or a woman have in the skin of their flesh bright spot, even white bright spot, then the priest shall look, and behold, if the bright spot in the skin of their flesh be darkened white, it is a freckle spot that groweth in the skin, he is clean. And a man whose hair is falling off his head is bald, yet is he clean. And he that has his hair falling off from the part of his head towards his face, his forehead bald, yet he is clean. And if there be in the bald head or bald forehead a white reddish sore, it is a leprosy sprung up in his bald head or his head for bald forehead. Then the priest shall look upon it, and behold, if the rising of the sore be white reddish in his bald head or in his bald forehead, as the leprosy appeareth in the skin of the flesh, is a leprous man, he is unclean. The priest shall pronounce him utterly unclean. His plague is in his head. And the leper in whom the plague is, his clothes shall be rent, and his head bare, and he shall put a covering upon his upper lip, and shall cry, unclean, unclean. All the days wherein the plague shall be in him, he shall be defiled. He is unclean, he shall dwell alone. Without the camp shall his habitation be. The garment also that the plague of leprosy is in, whether it be a woolen garment or a lining garment, whether it be in the warp of woof of lining or of woolen, whether in his skin or in anything made of skin. And if the plague be greenish or reddish in the garment or the skin, either in the warp or in the woof or in anything of skin, it is a plague of leprosy, and it shall be shown unto the priest. And the priest shall look upon the plague, and shut up it that has the plague 7 days, and he shall look on the plague on the 7th day. If the plague be spread in the garment, either in the warp or in the woof, or in his skin, or in any work that is made of skin, and the plague is a fretting leprosy, it is unclean. He shall therefore burn their garments, whether warp or woof, in woolen or in lining, or in anything of skin, wherein the plague is, for it is a fretting leprosy, it shall be burnt in the fire. And if the priest shall look, and behold, the plague be not spread in the garment, either in the warp or in the woof or in anything of skin, then the priest shall command that they wash the thing therein the plague is, and he shall shut it up 7 days more. And the priest shall look on the plague after that it is washed, and behold, if the plague have not changed its color, and the plague be not spread, it is unclean. Thou shalt burn it in the fire, it is fresh inwards, whether it be bare within or without. If the priest look and behold the plague be somewhat dark after the washing of it, then he shall rent it out of the garment, or out of the skin, or out of the warp, or out of the woof. And if it appears still in the garment, either in the warp or in the woof or in anything of skin, it is a spreading plague. Thou shalt burn that wherein the plague is with fire. And the garment, either warp or woof, or whatsoever thing of skin it be, which thou shalt wash, if it wash the second time, it shall be clean. This is the plague, law of the plague of leprosy, in a garment of woolen or lining, either in a warp or woof or anything of skin, to pronounce it clean or to pronounce it unclean. Thank you for listening to this chapter. I would like to say something. And in this chapter, I noticed that even God, in the Bible, like in the very chapter, spoke to them about isolation. Yeah, it's not really like isolation, but like quarantining someone that has a contagious disease. Now, quarantining a person that has a contagious disease, not in all cases, but in specific disease condition, it's actually medically correct. And now seeing it in the Bible is just like giving me another confirmation that, oh, really, God is the master of all, even science, even art. Like, this is a medical thing. Quarantining someone or keeping someone in an isolated place for some time because of their disease condition is something that happens even in today's period, just like the corona period time where people were quarantined for about 14 days. And this is a practice that is also in the Bible. Like, Jesus is just wonderful. Thank you for listening to today's episode. Come back tomorrow to listen to another episode from Christian Walk Podcast. I love you, but remember that God loves you more. Bye.